Donald Trump is having a catastrophic Sunday as Iran has issued yet another warning. Iran says, here's what you need to realize, Donald. The room for U.S. decision-making has been narrowed. Either choose an impossible military operation, go for it, make our day, do a ground invasion, or make a very bad deal that Iran will be able to entrench its power. Make your decision, Donald, but time is ticking, and we are not going to be backing down. In fact, one of the videos that are surfacing this morning as well are these mass fuel smuggling convoys spotted from Iran to Pakistan, and you'll see hundreds, if not thousands, of pickups and motorbikes hauling cheap Iranian fuel. Remember how we've been reporting on the MeidasTouch network that Pakistan had been helping to open up these convoy routes? Well, we're seeing them right here. Now, what is Donald Trump doing with all of this taking place? Of course, Donald Trump is attacking NATO. He's attacking Germany. He's attacking America's former alliances. Why? Because what else would Vladimir Putin want him to do? So here's what Donald Trump's been posting. I'm only going to show you a few posts, but it's been post after post like this. Trump tells German Chancellor Merz, fix your broken country. Moles pulling U.S. troops from Spain and Italy. Oh, wow, Donald. Attacking NATO, bold, courageous, strong. Makes Vladimir Putin very, very happy, Donald Trump. Then Donald Trump also posted this. Trump administration to withdraw thousands of troops from NATO ally Germany. Pentagon says. And these are articles from like Trump's propaganda media outlets like Breitbart. Well done, Donald. Great headline. You are attacking our NATO alliance. And now our NATO alliance is doing things like buying the Bombardier Saab planes instead of American planes. They are, moving away from the United States. And in fact, NATO said they're not even going to hold any more meetings with the leaders of the countries in NATO until 2029 because they don't even want Donald Trump to be there. They're ghosting him and don't even want to hold meetings because he's too much damn drama. So after Donald Trump's making post after post, what else is he doing this morning as his regime is in collapse? Lowest approval in American presidential history, really ever? Worse than Nixon, than when Nixon resigned, and Donald Trump's approval amongst independents on things like quality of living, it's like 12%. I mean, this guy is an absolute free fall and collapse. You have a major bankruptcy of Spirit Airlines that the Trump regime is trying to blame on Biden. If Biden would have allowed the merger between Spirit Airlines and JetBlue in 2022, there would not have been a bankruptcy in May of 2026, even though the Trump regime said they were going to bail Spirit Airlines out. And Donald Trump is out there spending $100 billion on an Iranian war that's raising the jet fuel prices. You're blaming Biden for something in 2022. You want to know what would have happened if JetBlue and Spirit Airlines merged in 2022 and you fast forwarded right now with this catastrophic war? Both would have went bankrupt. The combined entity would have went bankrupt because you would have had a contagion in it that would have spread. And by the way, JetBlue may go bankrupt very soon. A lot of these low-cost airlines are on the verge of being bankrupt. And if you know the domino effect of bankruptcies in these areas, especially as a result of the catastrophic war, causing fuel prices to double, triple, perhaps quadruple, you know that when you see something like Spirit Airlines happen, it's often a sign of other bankruptcies to follow, with the weakest link falling first. So everybody stay tuned, because I expect by the end of this week, we're going to be hearing about other low-cost jet companies, airplane companies saying that they're going to be declaring bankruptcy or a bailout is needed. $2.5 billion. Just watch. It's pretty clear if you just look at the data. All right, so Trump sends his stooges, his sycophants from the regime on the various shows. For example, you had Kevin Hassett, Donald Trump's national economic advisor. Background on this guy, he's wrong about everything, always. His entire career has been a loser. He's been a reject from the kind of economics community. He's been shunned, but That's how you get promoted in the Trump world. And why is he shunned? Not just because he's a weird dude, but because he's wrong about everything. He was telling everybody, buy, 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 right before the dot-com boom crashed. He was the guy saying, now's the time to buy. Next day, everything crashed. He wrote books about it, and then everything crashed. So he's apparently talking about the unlawful war right now. He doesn't call it that, though. But he goes on Face the Nation, and he's asked, so, a blockade is an act of war. So we're still at war, aren't we still at war? Watch what he says. Here, play this clip.
You said the blockade is still on. A blockade is an act of war. Are we at war with Iran?
Iran shut down the straits.
Right.
And the only ones they were letting through were Iranian ships, and President Trump didn't think that was acceptable.
So we are still at war with Iran.
I don't know what the definition of war is when we're not shooting and we're negotiating and they're under a lot of pressure.
Then you have Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent on the morning shows, and he's asked on state regime media, which calls itself Fox. So do you think Americans really want to know this, Bessent? Do you think oil prices will be lower before the midterm elections? Do you think oil prices will be lower? He ignores the question. He's like, well, the futures market is getting much better. First off, that's not true. The spot price right now is ridiculously high, which is not the futures, the current price. And then he goes into this weird thing about Baghdad Bob. And he's like, the Iranians remind me of Baghdad Bob. Remember, he would say we're winning, that Iraq was winning and they would be losing. Your Baghdad Bob buddy, Trump's Baghdad Bob buddy, your whole regime has turned the United States into basically a bunch of damn Baghdad Bobs. That's who you are. It's always confession with these people and projection. Here, play this clip of Bessent. Let's play it.
Oil prices will be lower before the midterm elections.
I think oil prices, we can see in the futures market that oil prices are already lower 3 months, 6 months, 9 months out. But again, Maria, there are hundreds of oil tankers waiting in the Gulf to come out. The U.S. is only blockading Iranian ships, and we will see. I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see more of those ships coming out. The Iranians, it reminds me, they're kind of like the Keystone Cops here. It reminds me of Baghdad Bob. Back during the Iraqi war, you had the guy kind of spouting nonsense while the tanks were driving around behind him.
And then they bring on Todd Blanche, Donald Trump's acting attorney general, who's been bringing all of these frivolous criminal cases. I mean, this guy's trying to out Pam Bondi. And here he is saying, look, the real reason why we need voter ID is because when everyone goes into a restaurant and you eat dinner, you have to show the waiter your ID. So if you have to show the waiter your ID when you eat dinner, we need voter ID as well. Who shows the waiter their ID when they eat dinner? Are you all eating at strip clubs? Where are you? Where are you eating? I saw somebody say that. Somebody was like, maybe they all just eat at strip clubs where they ask for ID. He's here. Play this clip.
Is that there's a lot of things that we can be doing, like voter ID. Like every time you walk into a restaurant or a club, you have to show your ID. How about you have to show your ID to vote? That's not anything that's crazy, and that's what we should be talking about.
Certainly one of the votes on Capitol Hill right now.
Then Attorney General Todd Blanche tells Kristen Welker that individuals selling 86 merchandise, 8647 merchandise, or using it, they're not going to get arrested. Only James Comey. So everyone else is fine, but only James Comey, because the seashells, Sally sells seashells by the seashore because Comey did it with seashells. Folks, we're dealing with a regime of idiots right now. You do realize that, right? Here, play this clip.
Well, the image, excuse me, is part of what led to this indictment.
Yes.
It is worth noting that on Amazon.com, we looked this up, there are dozens of products with the same terminology. We're showing it right here, 8647 being sold and purchased right now. Should individuals selling or buying 8647 merchandise be concerned that they're going to be prosecuted by the DOJ.
This isn't about a single incident. Okay, this isn't, I mean, of course not. That's posted constantly. That phrase is used constantly. There are constantly men and women who choose to make threatening statements against President Trump. Every one of those statements do not result in indictments, of course. There are facts, there are circumstances, there are investigations that have to take place. And we have charged dozens and dozens of men and women this year with threatening President Trump and others. So this isn't a new charge we're bringing.
Just to be very clear, you are suggesting the seashells themselves are not at the root of this indictment.
No, I am suggesting that every single case depends on the investigation that's done. And of course, the seashells are part of that case. I mean, that's what the public sees. But without a doubt, and it should be evident by the fact that it's been 11 months since the posting and the indictment, there is an investigation that takes place. And that's the result. The result of that investigation is the indictment that was returned last week.
Let's talk.
And then he wants everybody to know that the president's not involved in a popularity contest. He's not trying to be liked. Let's play this clip.
What he's not engaged in a popularity contest when it comes to what we're doing in Iran. He is doing something that will save us for generations. And so he's doing something, again, that every president since Reagan has said that we should do, and he's the only one willing to do it.
And then one of the things I've been seeing over and over again this morning are these Trump regime officials who they've been saying that we should actually give Donald Trump so much credit for the Spirit Airlines bankruptcy because it could have been chaotic, and it's not chaotic. Donald Trump saved the Spirit Airlines bankruptcy by making the bankruptcy not chaotic. Folks, again, we have to just recognize these Trump regime people, they're dangerous, they're liars, they're losers. These are the biggest loser people. They're not smart, they're dumb, and they've been platformed, and we just have to call these people out and be aggressive. These are horrible human beings. These are vile human beings. Here, play this clip.
Again, I'm proud of the American Airlines that have stepped up to take care of the passengers of Spirit, making sure they can get home. The employees of Spirit have special access to apply for jobs with other American airlines. So again, I've stepped in, worked with the CEOs, and again, this could have been chaotic. And under this administration, President Trump's leadership, there isn't chaos. There is actually a unified American approach to helping passengers and employees of Spirit navigate this crisis.
And by the way, just so you see, this is their talking point this morning. The White House official account is reposting former Governor Sununu using that exact same talking point. These people are dumb, right? They're saying, okay, Trump should get so much credit. This is a great bankruptcy. This is a cool bankruptcy, calm, confident, not chaotic. What are you talking about? Play this clip.
Hats off to the president. I mean, President Trump really tried 100 different ways to make this work because he cared about those customers. He cared about those employees. At the end of the day, Spirit was a financial disaster. I mean, they effectively were massively over leveraged. They didn't even own their own planes. Like, there was really very little collateral behind anything they had. So unfortunately, I think a lot of us saw that this was just not going to work financially.
But folks, I think there's some good news and good news in terms of information getting out to the right audiences now, and that it's not simply the left wing, liberal, people who view themselves as independent, that actually Donald Trump's horrible behavior, his unlawful and catastrophic war, his covering up of the Epstein files, it's actually reaching his MAGA base right now. And I've been analyzing this using Ground News, a tool that I use. Take a look right here at this article, for example. Trump must choose impossible war or bad deal with Iran, says the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps. Remember, that's how I led this video with that story. And what I found notable is that this is overwhelmingly being covered on the right wing now. Why? Because the left wing and center media, if you want to make those broad generalizations, everybody knows that this is the case and this is the truth. But finally this weekend, it's now really penetrating right-wing audience as though this is some groundbreaking news and some groundbreaking story. By the way, it's why I partner with Ground News for this episode, because they're the best tool for me to stay objective with my reporting. Ground News is an app and a website that pulls in thousands of articles from around the world, and it organizes them by the story to show you how the left, center, and right are framing the story differently. For every story, the color-coded layout makes it easy to see the political bias of each source. I can filter for high factuality sources and see which sources are independent independently owned or owned by a large media conglomerate with corporate interests. This lets you compare reporting on the same issue in one place so you can come to your own conclusions based on all the facts. On this article, for example, I found it notable that it was actually being covered more on the right wing, which I gave you my analysis. Why? Because this is a known fact to other audiences. So Ground News has this dedicated blind spot feed right here, which is a personal favorite of mine, which highlights stories being disproportionately covered on either side of the political aisle to help you burst through echo chambers. Because I believe in Ground News so much, we're offering you 40% off the same Vantage plan that I use for my research. Just go click the link in the description or go to ground.news/MTN or scan the QR code up here. It's one of the biggest discounts they've ever offered. If you want to support the channel and get a clearer understanding of the world, try out Ground News. One more time, that's ground.news/MTN. Going back to my video right here, we have Sean Duffy as well, Donald Trump's transportation secretary, and he says, again, this is their other talking point, that it was Biden's fault that Spirit Airlines is now bankrupt because the Biden DOJ filed an antitrust lawsuit against Spirit Airlines merging with JetBlue in 2022, and eventually in 2024, a Ronald Reagan appointed judge in Massachusetts, a very far right-wing judge, ruled that it was an antitrust violation. And Donald Trump now says we're in a golden age and we've brought in $21 trillion and everything is going great and the war is incredible and everything's amazing. Yet it's Biden's fault. Do you see why these people are such losers? Do you see how their argument pretty much crumbles after Donald Trump takes office and says we're in a golden age and everything's great, then starts a catastrophic war and jet fuel prices increase? Play this clip.
And Mr. Secretary, just finally on Spirit Airlines, they ceased operating over the weekend. You have said that the war was not an impetus in putting Spirit out of business because they filed Chapter 11 bankruptcy last summer. But the Spirit CEO said in his statement that the sudden and sustained rise in fuel prices ultimately left them with no alternative. Quickly, if you can.
Sure. So Spirit tried to merge with JetBlue. The Joe Biden, Pete Buttigieg administration and DOJ tanked that deal. Immediately after that, they filed for bankruptcy. They were having financial problems, Martha. They filed for bankruptcy again last year. They were bleeding money. And so this was in the works for some time. They were going to have to liquidate. And so, again, I'm proud of the American Airlines that have stepped up to take care of the passengers of Spirit, making sure they can get home. The employees of Spirit have special access to apply for jobs with other American airlines. So again, I've stepped in, worked with the CEOs, and again, this could have been chaotic. And under this administration, President Trump's leadership, there isn't chaos. There is actually a unified American approach to helping passengers and employees of Spirit navigate this crisis.
But it's not going to stop them. You have Treasury Secretary Bessent pushing the same lies with that arrogance of his. Let me tell you what has happened. Losers, losers, losers. Play this clip.
The Treasury was supposed to be doing a deal to save this company. Can you tell us what happened?
Sure, Maria. So this is just more of the mess we inherited from the Biden administration. In September 2022, Elizabeth Warren, who loves to write letters, sent a letter to the Justice Department, to the Transport Department, saying that they should oppose the merger with Spirit Airlines. JetBlue wanted to buy them for $3.8 billion. It would have given them much more resiliency. And she and the Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg was probably the worst transportation secretary in history when he came to the office. They were against the merger, and if JetBlue had merged with Spirit, we would have all these jobs that were lost yesterday. We had 30 regional airports who have lost service. And I can tell you what happened here. It wasn't Treasury, it was Commerce that was trying to put something together. But the reason we were here was because the Biden administration opposed the merger. We shouldn't have been here in the first place.
Mm-hmm. Well, Elizabeth Warren was complaining about it on Twitter. I know that.
Then, by the way, you have Jeanine Pirro, who used to be the Fox host, who's now the top federal prosecutor in Washington, D.C. Why? Because this is a regime of psychopaths, and that's what they do. There's no actual valid reason for this at all. These are people who should not be anywhere near these positions, but we're fighting back together. And so she says, look, the Supreme Court lets us launch criminal investigations and grand jury investigations based on rumors. So we're going to criminally investigate people based on rumors. What? So you're just admitting it. Donald Trump makes social media posts, starts a rumor, and then you build grand jury investigations based on rumors. She's saying it out loud. Here, play this clip.
The United States Supreme Court has said, I can present evidence based upon or open an investigation, suspicion, and rumors. I can start an investigation based on that. A judge has stopped me from doing that. And therefore, the only way to get evidence, the only way to find out what happened is through the Inspector General. And I spoke to Michael Horowitz and I said, I would like this in short order. You have the ability to talk to witnesses. I have been foreclosed from doing that. Mm-hmm. And we continue to litigate the issue.
And then finally, back to Kevin Hassett, Mr. Wrong, the guy whose whole life getting everything wrong, outcast, who's now the head of our national economic policy. He says, he's asked, Bank of America, Goldman Sachs, they've made some significant projections that this catastrophic war, the higher gas prices, any purported tax benefit that you think Americans are getting from your bill, Americans are paying far more money in gas. So these are top economists. You agree? You agree? Oh, no, I don't agree. I don't agree with anything. I don't agree with anything. Here, play it.
With them. But so we're going into week 10. I'm wondering what economic modeling you have done here, because the president had originally said the war was going to last 4 to 6 weeks. We are now at the national average gas price of $4.45 a gallon. Can we end the conflict without taking back the Strait of Hormuz?
Well, what's going on right now is that we're doing an all-of-the-above approach to get energy to Americans and increase energy production around the world. And I think if you look out into the future, what people are saying, so as an example, we waived the Jones Act. The price in the U.S. is $10 a barrel less than it is on the world and in the world exchanges. And all the West Coast was buying world price of oil, but now they're buying U.S. price of oil. So we've made an enormous number of strides to reduce the short-term disruption.
Well, the Bank of America came out with a report this week that says the gas price spike has cost consumers $19 billion. They say gas prices have canceled out nearly half of the increase in expected tax refunds. Goldman Sachs concurs, saying the drag will offset the benefits from that tax bill the White House had championed. Do you agree with that analysis?
No, that analysis is incorrect.
There you have it, folks. Let me know what you think. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 7 million subscribers. Thanks for watching, everybody.
New Meidas merch drop. Check out the latest pro-democracy sticker packs, t-shirts, hats, sweatshirts, and more. All at store.meidastouch.com.